District 1, Councilman Rios is excused. District 2, Councilman Pastor.
Present.
District 3, Councilman Latham.
Present.
District 4, Vice Mayor Stapleton.
Here.
District 5, Councilman Gonzalez.
Here.
District 6, Councilman Shipley.
Here.
Mayor Gameros.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Fernando, can you lead us in the invocation, please?
Please bow your head in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you that we can be gathered here today to do the city's business. Please help us to make the best decisions possible for our community. Please keep those people safe that are going to be traveling over the holidays, and hope that everybody has someone that they can be with that cares about them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Jesse.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with summary of current events, and Mike, we'll start with you down there.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. The other night, one of the nights when the city of Globe is pretty quiet, I was driving down the streets and I noticed that the Public Works Department put the Christmas lights up, and somebody decided to take that teepee at the end of the street and make it look like a Christmas tree, and it looks really nice.
Right, yeah.
So I want to congratulate, I'm sure it was Public Works and
Looks good.
probably Linda, I don't know if you had anything to do with it, but I'm sure you did. So I'd like to congratulate the staff. The city looks pretty nice and late in the evening. So
Very cool.
that's all I have, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you, Mike. Jesse?
Thank you, Mayor. All I have is I want to thank the staff that was involved in getting 7th and Maple up and going. That looks amazing. If you haven't been out there,
Great
take
job.
a look. Your days of running that over, Fernando, it's over. Jumping your car.
No more airborne.
I mean,
Excellent job.
yes. But it looks amazing, so well done, staff. Thank you.
Shipley intersection.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Jesse. Mike?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. It's snuck up on us. Can't believe it's here already.
Yeah.
Typically, I do a Thanksgiving meal at the restaurant, but last year I didn't do it because of COVID, and this year it just snuck up on me. Unfortunately, I'm going to do it, but next year I'll be up there doing the same thing I always do. And then, second of all, I myself are going to participate in the buggy ride. December 3rd is the first night. I think you're going to do it too. The decorated side-by-sides with Christmas lights and stuff. So I know started out with 10 or 12 people. Now it's up to about 70. So we're going to do that starting December 3rd for the first Friday. And then we'll get the schedule after that. And it's going to be, I believe, the second week of December. It's going to be every night that week that we'll be cruising all through Globe and wishing everybody Merry Christmas and doing Christmas carols and what have you. So it should be really cool. So keep your eyes out. And I think that's it, man. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mike. Mariano?
Just a prayer out there for Thanksgiving for the aged and the sick and the elderly. Sometimes we forget about them. And this year for Thanksgiving, the Methodist Church, among other groups, are outputting and making Thanksgiving dinner. And I remembered my parents who will be alone on Thanksgiving Day. So I ordered a couple of Thanksgiving dinners from the Methodist Church. They'll deliver it Wednesday afternoon between the hours of 4 and 5. And I mentioned that to my parents today, and they were thrilled. They thought it was a wonderful idea. So if there's somebody out there that you know is going to be alone, help them out. Order a dinner for them. It's a wonderful thing to help the elderly and the sick and the aged. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mariano. Fernando?
I'd like to recognize our Citizen Academy. I thought they were great students. I got the chance to be with them on the finance portion, so I'm sure that was pretty painful. And it went long, and most of them were able to stay, so just thank you for caring and being part of it. I mean, knowing how things work makes a big difference, and it helps you help us. And hopefully we need people that will replace us, so make sure you think about running for office and getting up here. So, and just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So,
Thank you, Fernando. Yeah, I also want to extend a happy Thanksgiving to all our staff, all our residents, and everybody that's here. Mike was talking about December 3rd. That's again our first Friday. Every month it continues to grow. The last first Friday, we had about 50, 60 classic cars that were cruising downtown. And that cruise started at 5:45, but this time we're going to start it earlier. The schedule for First Friday is going to be starting at 3 o'clock, the Christmas Marketplace and food trucks open. I think there'll be a DJ there, music also down there, two DJs that night. At 4 o'clock will be the Classic Cruise. So if anybody wants to come out and cruise with us for a couple of times around, and then you'll be able to park your car down by the train depot and display it if you want. You don't have to have a fancy car. Come and enjoy just a cruise downtown like we used to do in the 60s and 70s and 80s. So that'll start at 4. At 4:30, the Power Elite Dance will be on Oak Street. They'll be performing. At 5:30, there'll be a tree lighting at the Clover Valley Center for the Arts. So they'll have the tree up, and they'll do the first lighting of that tree that night. And then again at 5:45, they have Christmas carols right in front of the Center for the Arts. And then at 6:30, the event that Mike was talking about is the Gila Valley Off-Road Christmas Cruise. And these are UTVs decorated that usually do the neighborhoods. We've invited them as staff to participate in our downtown cruise. And I think they're expecting about 80 buggies, 140. So it's good.
That's the light parade?
Yeah, yeah, but it's going to be busy on that day with all those the cruisers. I also want to just acknowledge the local businesses. We get more and more every month, and we just want to acknowledge those that are participating. La Casita Cafe, Splash of Copper, Bloom, Luna Olive Oils, Bravo, Boutique, Bouquets on Broad Street, Turn the Page, Pretty Kind Boutique, The Naughty Fox, Cobra Valley Center for the Arts, Besh Begawa, The Huddle, and the Batting Range. So come by and visit these vendors that day, or these businesses that day. And I think all of them are staying up late or staying in late for visiting. So help support our local businesses by coming and visiting with extended hours at night. And I think that's all I have. Paul?
Mr. Mayor, members of council.
Oh, hold on. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I had not an emergency, but the railroad site over by my place got knocked over again in only like a month. I want to thank John and his team for getting right on that. They got right on it. Well, the sign's down now that it was knocked over completely about 2 months ago, wasn't it, John? And they fixed it, but it got hit again. But they took care of business right away, so I just wanted to show.
The one right in front of the police department.
I'm sorry?
The one right in front of the police department?
No, it's right in front of my business.
Well, okay.
That one,
yeah, pretty much.
that one always gets hit. I've known that as a history.
Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry.
Paul?
Okay. Vice Mayor, thank you. And thank you to John for, he's got a sixth sense for when things need to be fixed. He's really good at this.
Right.
I just wanted to start out with let everybody know that the City Globe is hiring. If you want a really wonderful health insurance plan, if you want good benefits, ASRS, look at the web, find their jobs available. If it's something that you want to do but it's not there, call Pam and talk to her. If you ever wanted to work for a city government, this is a time to be applying. We're looking for people in many aspects. So just think about it, reach out, and talk to Pam, and we'll see what we can do depending on your skill set and your hopes and dreams for a career, not just a job but a career. Secondly, thank you to the Citizens Academy. It went wonderfully great. I very active, very happy, very eager people. 13. We're so happy about that. And thank you to Shelley, who, when we first sat down, I'm like, "You're doing Citizens Academy?" She's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, it's like, well, let me explain. And just took it and ran with it and made it the success that it is. And we'll be repeating this in March of 2022. And then the last thing is a thank you, good job to both police and fire who were on duty on November 10th, 7:30 in the morning. I believe it was there. Let's see. No, wait. Let me get the date right. No, this November 3rd at 7:30 in the morning. There was a horrible accident at the 6070. 2 people injured. Police got the juvenile out because they needed to just move her. It took an hour for fire to get the adult out. Last we've heard, they're doing, they're doing well. But it was a horrific scene. Everybody did their job above and beyond. And Mayor, you tell me that the plasma on the helicopter helped save a life. So just I can't even, I've heard people talk about the scene. It was a tough scene, but our police and fire are there when at the worst of times and taking care of business. So thank you to police and fire. And Mr. Mayor, members of council, that's all I have.
Thank you. We have a first community call to the public. This is a time anyone willing to speak or wanting to speak comments to the council may do at this time. You're limited to 3 minutes, and council cannot respond to you during this call to the public. Do we have any? Call to the public, yes. Dan Moat, Councilman Dan Moat, I'm sorry.
Out of Miami? Yes, sir.
We got to be able to hear you.
Make sure that mic's on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that my name is Dan Mode. I'm Vice Mayor of Miami, 779 West Pershing Circle in Miami. And Mayor and Council, I would just wanted to say thank you for letting me come over and attend the Citizens Academy and be a part of that. That was really great. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I had a few questions answered that I didn't really know everything, and I knew a lot of it, but a lot of questions were answered and kind of opened my eyes to the community and the difference between Globe and Miami. There is quite a difference. And I just really thought it was great going into every department and doing what you guys did was a great setup. And I won't be here in March. But hey, you do one and it's great. I would like to invite anybody to come over to a Miami meeting and attend those. If you want to, you're welcome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
And Mr. Mayor, just a quick go back on my current events. Reminder, the Festival of Lights is going to be happening at Besh on December 4th. Starting at dusk, a little early. We're putting together, like I say, didn't have it last year because of COVID. This year we're 4 o'clock. Okay, so before dusk, and bring your best lighter and come help light. And but we're excited to have this back and this post-COVID world and living with COVID. I think outdoor events can be a fun event. Be safe, mask up if you haven't been vaxxed. And but we're hoping to see everybody there for a wonderful part of our holiday celebration.
And our light parade will be December 11th then, right? I was going to mention that too, and I...
Yep. Light parade, December 11th. John,
Yep.
Remember that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
December 11th, and just want to put a plug with the Councilman Dan Moat here, also their second Saturday, which Miami started this last month, will be the same day, but they're going to run it during the day, is what I hear from, they won't do it at nighttime because of the light parade, but they're
Okay.
going to run it during the day, is what I heard.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Members
Thank
of
you. Special presentations and ceremonial matters. Item 3A, we'll have presentation of the Fall 2021 Citizens Academy graduation. Councilman Mariano Gonzalez will present diplomas to participants Jody Daggett, Patricia Daly, Tammy Guerra, Brian Gano, Samuel Kennegard, Bodie Kevin, Regina Ortega Lenardi, Mary Lowry, Dylan Mojica, Tracy Quick, Sherry Rice, Nancy Rutherford, and special participant, Town of Miami Vice Mayor Dan Moat. And you have the certificates and...
Shelley has them, and before we hand them out, he's had a couple of remarks. I did get to sit in on a couple of these sessions, and I really appreciate your enthusiasm. And it was a wonderful dialogue. You asked a lot of pertinent questions, important questions you just had to have answers to. There's an underhanded method to our madness here in the city of Globe, and I'll blame Paul. If you learned anything from this, it's that our most important asset is not the fire trucks, the high-speed police cars, the infrastructure of our water and sewage systems. It's our employees. I hope you learned that. Nothing runs in our city without them. The one picture from last week, we should blow that picture up, Paul, and put it in the hallway. 2 city workers in the muck and mire of a ditch, freezing cold in the wintertime, icicles forming on their beard, and they're repairing a water line. This is what our employees will do for you. And in the fires and floods of this summer, some of them had to go home and evacuate their families. You know what they did? They came right back to work. They rolled up their sleeves and they asked their supervisors, what can we do next? We spent a lot of time on the days sweating about how to keep our employees, how to get them more money in pay and benefits and equipment that they need. They are our most valuable asset, and they deserve the best that we can give them. I hope you learned that about our employees. The second thing is in this academy is we need you as volunteers. I hope you think about that after you leave here today, to step up and maybe join our agencies and boards and commissions as a volunteer. We need your ideas. We're about to face a wonderful future, but we can't do it alone. We need you. We need your ideas. Maybe you'll consider, get with Paul, get with Shelley, find out what positions are available. And like he said up on the days, Fernando, you may want to run for city council and remove me from office. I don't know. What the important thing is, maybe you'll be motivated to invest more into the city of Globe with your own time. It is quite an effort, and we understand that. But we'd love to see you helping the city out as it approaches its future. There's just one thing I want to leave you with this thought. Ralph Nader is a watchdog over at Congress. Some people don't like him because he's always calling them on the carpet, but he does say some wonderful things. And this particular quote I had on my desk at State Emergency Management for 10 years. The function of leadership is to produce more leaders, not more followers. Take that home and think about that. Let's do the presentation, Shelley.
So good evening, Mayor and Council. It is a pleasure to be here tonight. This is history in the making. This is our first ever Citizens Academy in the city of Globe. So I didn't know anything about what a Citizens Academy was, but now I'm part of history, so it worked out good for me. We made friendships, and it just was a true pleasure to work with each and every one of you. And I know I speak on behalf of staff and all of council. We didn't want to call it a leadership program. We wanted to have fun and just have community members come in and learn about the city, but you are truly leaders, and it's just been a pleasure working with you, and we look forward to having you work with us in some capacity, so call me. Okay, so we have diplomas for each of you, and what I'll do is I'll call your name, and if you come up, Councilman Gonzalez will present you your diploma, and if you'll just kind of stand in the front here, we have a shirt and a cookie for you, but we do want to get some pictures, okay? These are not in any type of order. They were in alphabetical order, but the mayor signed them and now they're not. So, okay.
I hope you do a better job with the names than I did.
I'm going to try. And Tammy, wish me luck here. Tammy Gerada. Yeah. Just, yeah, stand right there, okay? And,
Just watch out for that camera. I don't know. We'll have to, I would start on the other end with Mariano.
oh,
Yeah. And then we'll work our way that way.
Get council behind.
and special participant, our Vice Mayor Dan Moat from Miami. A lot of our participants are away for Thanksgiving holiday, so they express their gratitude, and we'll get with them after the council meeting. Samuel Kenegard. Kenegard. Miss Tracy Quick. Mr. Bodie Curvin. Miss Sherry Rice. Mr. Jody Daggett. And last but no means least, Miss Mary Lowry.
We get
And then I think we're
one
going
in
to
front, and if we get council behind them, it'd be nice to have a. Yeah.
And don't go away. I've got a shirt and a cookie for you too.
Get in here somehow.
Your tax dollars hard at work.
Got enough room there?
I'll get it. I'll correct it. Absolutely.
Got us all? That gonna work?
How's that?
Hold on, newspaper wants it.
Oh, newspaper wants to shot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah. Let me get right.
you. You bet. Yeah, if they want to say something, that's fine. Don't want to say.
I think technically if we paid for it, yes.
Double XL.
What do the cookies look like? Look at them, those are pretty neat. Those cookies are neat. Those are pretty neat, those cookies. Yeah.
Can't eat that.
Just put it away, hide it somewhere. Yeah. Mm. There you go.
What does it say on the back of it?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
They look neat.
Yeah.
Those are neat.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, we'll take it.
I'm taking mine to Carisa's.
Did they want to say something, Shelley, or anyone?
Had a couple of them.
Remember? That's what she said. After they graduate.
We'd like to give an opportunity to, for the class to have a representative come up, maybe Miss Sherry or Miss Mary or Tracy, Mr. Bodie.
Or anybody. Anybody.
Mr.
that
Bodie?
wants
Okay.
to. Thank you, Shelley. Those are neat.
Mayor, council members, I'd like to thank you personally for this class and this opportunity. I've been living here a little over a year now. I felt like it was a way to acclimate more into the city, meet other people, and it turned out to be way more educational and informative, and for me, much more than I expected. Like Councilman Gonzalez was saying, one of the big things I took away from this was how every staff member seemed passionate about their jobs. They just had a passion and zeal for their job. They were very knowledgeable, very smart. I pictured a lot more workers, to be honest, but I'm telling you, the ones you got work hard and do a good job. That was very impressive. And I'd already met some of the guys, especially with Parks and Recreation. And I'd met John prior to this, as well as your State of the City address, Mayor. It helped inform, when you find out, like someone was mentioning about knowing how things work makes things better, and just hearing that and your vision and what's happened in the past and your vision for the future, it really helped. The food was nice too, I must say. That always adds a good touch, and it was good food. From my experience, I learned a lot. I learned how, the first class, starting off, how the council works, how that system is intended to work. That was very educational, and then seeing how all these other entities, it's like a big working machine, and getting more knowledgeable about that and finding out exactly how things work. This is, I think local government is very important, and I kind of hate to use the word village, but it is a village, and you get to find how where you live in your village, how things work and operate, and it's important for all of us to kind of, I think, kick in and help in some way. So I really appreciate this. I think the literature, syllabus, everything was great. Every department, fire department, police department, public works, everywhere we went was well prepared. So I thought it was a really good experience, and I appreciate it being there, and I appreciate Shelley and the city manager too.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. My name is Mary Lowry, District 1, and I'm representing for everyone tonight from District 1. I can't thank you enough for this opportunity to learn and to grow. As he mentioned, this was a great opportunity to learn about the people who are serving, very passionate people, like you said, very committed to their jobs. They're not just going through the motions, and so it's wonderful to see that. I think, if I may, I know I don't speak for myself alone on this, that we appreciate that you have empowered us with this knowledge so that we can be accountable for our town, right? it's not up to the police to protect us. It's up to us to protect ourselves and each other, right? We have resources in the police department, the fire department, public works, all sorts of different resources at our advantage, but it's really up to each of us to come together, to take pride in ourselves, our families, and our towns, and to contribute. And so I'm just so impressed with all of the good things that you guys are doing to help Globe grow. And even more so, I'm so impressed with this class's opportunity to engage others in it, because we can't grow the city resources without more people getting involved. So I really appreciate you believing in us enough to have this class. A lot of people think, oh, the public, they don't know. We have to do it ourselves. And you practice that bravery and that courage to say, let's give the citizens an opportunity to really see what it takes to run a town and see if they'll help us run it, right? And so I see that, and I really appreciate that. And I know others see that too. And we hear your call to action, and we will reply. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Sherry Rice, District 2. I live in District 2, and Mary's a tough act to follow. I just want to thank you also. I really appreciated this opportunity. I didn't need much encouragement from Mike at all to put my application in. I think it was one of the first, if not the first. And I'm sure when Paul saw my name, he said, "Oh no," because
That was a higher pitch.
because I'm the nadir for some of the council, not council meetings, but the commissions and meetings and so forth, because I am on HVAC. And I really enjoyed this opportunity and getting to know these folks out here and my fellow classmates, if you will. And Fernando, excuse me, Mr. Shipley, Councilman Shipley, I really enjoyed the finance, because this was a part of the different departments that I knew the least about. So I was happy to stay here late. And as far as time management, how can you manage time when you have so many people in the audience like me that ask so many questions and make you run late? So I really do appreciate it. And it was especially these 6 weeks, Wednesday night's my favorite TV night. And I gave it up for 6 weeks, but I'll get back on track tomorrow night. But seriously, and all kidding aside, I thank you. It was nice interacting with the council members and the staff members. And I, as much as for the fire department and police department, our public works department, after being with them that evening, are really unsung heroes. And John, I told you, I saw you out not too long ago, and I said, I'm stopping now and telling the guys, hey, you're doing a great job when I see you. Excuse me. And so, again, I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Now, Sherry, before you go, so a couple questions. We just on the informal test of who had the best food, which department had the best food. Anybody want to shout out their favorite meal? Okay. Well, the questions get harder.
Being politically correct, I agree with Tracy.
Well, and then we haven't tallied the votes, but we had a thing on there for the best dressed council member that appeared. Did we have any shout outs for that? If you won't vote for the food, I think you can play it safe, but.
I'm gonna stand on the fifth there. Take the fifth.
Good answer.
All right, so the last question, last question is, so we did 6 nights, and normally that seems a long time, but you guys, it was going boom, boom, boom. I feel bad that if we had a 7th night, we would have done library, museum, and active adult center. Would that have been too much to go 7 weeks and add in that last trio of groups? I'm seeing, you guys okay? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So I think we're getting the nod that this class would recommend that we do we go 7 nights and bring in library, active adult, and museum, and that would round out pretty much everything. And that means that all 7 council members will get to host one night. So we'll have to short straw for who gets to do the graduation ceremony.
And Mr. Mayor, I also did an unsolicited evaluation that I gave to Shelley this evening, and that was one of the things, because I was asked last week at the Friends meeting, why was the library not included? Their department, they have a director, and why were they not included? And I had to say, I don't know. But
Right.
that,
And we were trying to juggle this, and it's the first time.
of course,
We've done this, at least here, and for me, and it just, I didn't want to go too long. I didn't want it to, I mean, it stayed strong, it stayed enthusiastic. You guys were just as excited on the 6th night as the first night, and that just warms everybody's heart. And staff feels that when they're here presenting and you're all eager and asking the questions and following along, it gets them going and makes them feel valued and everything. So it's a two-way street. So thank you. But Mayor, Council, I think in March, we'll probably put together a 7-night format.
may we come back for that 7th night?
Yeah, we'll double it up.
Okay.
We'll do that. We'll do the 7th night, and it'll be big.
Class reunion for us.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Yeah, I just want to say a few comments also. I don't know if anybody else would. I want to congratulate the class and the caliber of people that were in it and the questions that were asked. You know, I attended a couple of sessions, but it was amazing for the first time, and I'm glad that our staff, I want to thank our staff for putting this on. And I hope we gave you a better understanding of how it really works. It's a little more complex than just saying, I'm going to run for council and I'm going to make changes. So you don't make changes. You're one vote. You're one person. It really takes buy-in from all, you know, and buy-in from all your fellow council members and also the community. You know, you don't run for council because you have a vendetta or you have your own agenda. You run because you're passionate for your community. And it's not for the money, I guarantee you. So, but you do run because you're passionate. So, you know, and everybody's issues is important. I know everybody represents a district, the mayor represents everybody, but everybody's issues is important. But the hard part is, for us is, and I'm glad that we have a diverse council, I'm honored to be part of them, is how do you balance it out to make sure that the decisions you make are not just specific for one incident or one person, but it's balanced out, that it's important for the whole community in general. So thank you again for being part of it, and hopefully the next one will be even better.
We're going to keep shooting for the stars.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
One thing I'd like to see is like a group picture and just put it up. You know, when we actually get some of the pictures back up on the wall, we could we could have
good idea.
Citizens Academy, because I think it'll be neat, because
Yes.
some of these people will end up stepping up into leadership, and someday you'll see that they were where they started.
Yeah, and you guys are Citizens Academy class number 1, and you'll always be class number 1. So,
Okay, anybody else want to speak or anything before we move on to the next?
Samuel Cantergard, District 2, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and city staff, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's very comfortable to get to have a look at the city and understand how important it is to be part of anything that's going on in town. The opportunity to do this after the first annual State of the City address has really had an opportunity to have me more comfortable here. I feel a lot more at home, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Last call. Again.
Really honest to tell you that I'm only still here because I can't walk out on the Humane Society. And when they're done talking, I'm going for graduation party at the huddle if anyone would care to join me. Here's on me.
Thank you very much again. We appreciate you guys. So we'll move on to item 3B. The High Desert Humane Society will present an organizational update, including possible partnerships with the city of Globe. Cheryl Braswell?
And Mr. Mayor, go ahead and jump up there. I wanted to just do a quick update. We had in last week or 2 weeks ago in E-session, we had talked about some of this issues. I wanted to lay out a foundation and a kind of a progress report. We had a discussion about the lease that was signed in 1973 that allowed a lease for that time the Gila County the Gila County Humane Society to do a lease, and eventually they built a building and ran an animal shelter off of a dually owned property out right within the cemetery, the City of Globe Cemetery. I don't know exactly the date, but at some point they stopped doing the services and assign that to the county to do those services, is what they're saying. And so for up until just 6 months ago, 3 months ago, the county was operating the animal shelter out of there, and now they have vacated and gone to their building they built out by the fairgrounds. Since then, the county has given quitclaim their half of the property to the City of Globe, and the dispute is in whether the lease is still valid or not. And so we wanted to get the members of the High Desert Humane Society here to talk about this. They have a position on that. We are still researching that. There's some information we're going back and forth on, and some legal discussions we're having. So we're not going to get that resolved tonight, but they would like to share with you their view and some other hopes and dreams and discussions. But I just wanted to allow that because we had wanted to have that conversation in public, that this is the outstanding issue as to whether this lease is valid still, and whether they have a right to occupy that building. Okay? Sure.
Thank you. Mayor Gamaros and Councilman, and thank you for allowing us to be here on such a special night when people are being recognized. And I agree how important your employees are, your staff, and all that. And I would like to go on record as saying, I think the Humane Society is a very important part of this community. And I'd like to go over just a little bit, if you don't mind, what we do for this community. We take animals off the street, whether they're friendly animals or not. We try to get them off the street, and we get them the medical care that they need. We help low-income families with veterinary care, which is a big expense. Of course, our biggest bills are veterinary bills, but and we're glad to do it. But we help low-income families with veterinary care when they can't afford it. We provide a thrift store. I hope you've all been in our thrift store. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's well organized. It's well run. We don't, in our furniture store or thrift store, we don't take just junk. We go through everything. We clean it and make sure that it's something presentable for our community and profitable, beneficial, I should say. And these two stores, the thrift store and the furniture store, I don't know if you realize how much it benefits this community, especially the people that low income or no jobs at all or whatever. We help them with clothing, with household items. If someone gets burnt out or flooded or in great need, we give it to them for free, We give it to them. We don't charge them. If people come in, we help the homeless. We give an awful lot to the homeless. But if somebody just comes in off the street and they say, I need a pair of shoes, I desperately need a pair of shoes or boots, and I can't afford them, we'll give them to them. We don't argue with people. We ask that they not just take them and walk out. We have some of that too. But we really try to help this community. And we have a TNR program, trap, neuter, release, that so far the number has been around 500 cats that we have taken off the streets, fixed, altered, and put them back, either back where they came from in that same neighborhood, or if they don't want them back, we take them to ranches and things like that. But those 500 cats that we have fixed have kept about 3,000 kittens from being born in this community. And those 3,000 kittens in 6 months, well, you know how it goes. So we have really been a help there, and I hope that you realize that, and we're going to continue it if we can. It's expensive, but we're hanging on. We're doing with it right now. We give parvo and distemper shots to the public if they don't have a veterinarian or they can't afford it. To keep those puppies healthy, we'll give them shots. We ask for a donation. We don't charge. If they can't give us a donation, doesn't matter. We provide low-cost spaying and neutering for the low-income families of our community. Unfortunately, the MASH vet that's been coming to Globe for many, many years, wonderful veterinarian and staff, they can't come up here anymore. They ask us now to come to Apache Junction where they park most of the time. So we do. We take them down there. We get all of our own animals fixed there, and we help the community that can't afford or can't get into the local veterinarian. We take them there, and we see that they get the care that they need, get them fixed, stop that backyard breeding. We support many organizations in the community, 4-H group, the backpack program, the youth club, the homeless coalition. We've really spread out our wings as to who we have taken in and who we try to help. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of manpower. And so and we also give out a lot of free food. Chewy.com sends us food, and we give it out to the public for those that really can't afford. They shouldn't have pets if they can't afford to feed them, but sometimes things happen, and you can't buy dog food. You can't help it. You just need help. So, having said all that, I was asked to come and talk about the building on Hackney that the building was built in the late 60s for the Gila Humane Society. They didn't have land, so the city leased them that piece of property up there on a 99-year lease. We've used about half of it, and even though we weren't occupying it the last, 40 years or so, it did benefit the Humane Society, and it did benefit the community, did it not? For the first probably 40 years, the county paid $100 a month. Now, that had to help the county out. You see what it cost them to build their new facility. So we have provided a lot for the Globe Miami community. We're asking that you let us continue to use and benefit from that property that was built for us. I mean, I know you can look for lots of little ways to get out of things, but we need this. We either need to use it to our benefit so that we don't have to spend money on other things, or we're willing to sell the lease, let you buy it out, and we'll walk away and not say a word. But we don't want to take advantage of you at all, but we don't want you taking advantage of us either. So we're asking that you look at what was intended in that building being built for us and what was intended in that lease, and let us use that property. Or if you want to buy the lease out, we'll talk about that. We're not unreasonable. We don't want to be unreasonable. So, are there any questions for us?
Jesse, go ahead.
I thank you for your presentation. I agree. The Humane Society does a great benefit for the community and surrounding communities. With that being said, with the building that's up there on Hackney, would you intend then to move the dogs that are downtown to that facility and house them there?
One of the problems we have right now is we're having to hold on to dogs longer than we used to because of COVID and because of changes in landlords don't want big dogs anymore in their rentals. And insurance companies don't want certain dogs in the houses they insure. So we could use it for overflow. We could use it for animal. Sometimes we get dogs that no matter what you do, they're noisy. And I know that's unpleasant downtown. We could take them up there. They wouldn't be heard. When we get super full, we don't have any place to isolate. And sometimes we get animals, we need to isolate them so we know that they're not carrying something contagious. And we would have that benefit up there. We could even use some of those rooms for storage probably. We don't have parking downtown except that little parking lot by the thrift store. And now we have trucks, we have 2 trailers, we need parking as well. There are so many ways we could use it. And I don't know what else to say. Did I answer your question?
You did, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Any other questions? Mike?
Yeah, Cheryl. Why don't you partner with the county at the new facility?
Mike, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Hello? Why don't you partner with the county at their new facility? It's pretty big, pretty large, a lot of room.
It is. It's big and it's beautiful, but we are non-political. And we don't really want to join with an organization that is political. Not that we have anything against the county, but we saw what happened to Halo when they went in with Maricopa County. And
Who's Halo?
Halo is a rescue in the valley that was started by a mother and daughter, and they grew and grew, and Maricopa invited them into their facility. And after they were there a while, they decided they needed the space and kicked them out. Where are you going to go when you get kicked out of something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And our philosophies are different. We're no kill. And we discussed it many times in our meetings and decided it was not the right fit for us.
Okay, but the county does no kill now too, don't they?
I'm sorry, what?
The county does no kill.
No, they are not no kill.
Oh, they're not?
They
Okay.
kill? I don't believe they do. I believe they went no.
Well, I have to.
I would check your statement there.
Okay, let me tell you about a call I got yesterday from another rescue. A lady in Fountain Hills trapped a dog. She belongs to an organization called HART, H-A-R-T-T, and they trap. If you let them know there's an animal loose that nobody can catch, they know how to trap it and handle it and all. Well, this dog was trapped in Gila County, so they brought it to Gila County. And she called me last night very upset because she had called yesterday to check on the dog and was told that it was scheduled to be euthanized on Wednesday. And I said, I thought we were talking about the different organizations, because I said, I'm told they don't euthanize anymore. And she said, well, I was told on the phone today more than once that it is scheduled to be euthanized. And she said, I asked them if the dog was aggressive. No, it's not aggressive. It's just skittish and shy, but they felt it was unadoptable. Well, in our eyes, in any other type rescue, a shy, skittish dog doesn't mean you kill it.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I just caution this, I don't know the merits of the person that called or there, but I am 99% sure that the county runs a no-kill shelter, even to the point where there were times when people asked to have dogs put down and they refused. That is my memory, and so I don't want to slander or say anything negative about the county. The county my belief is their policy is no-kill.
When did they change that policy?
What's that?
When did they change that policy?
It was before I got here.
I just spoke to an employee that worked there about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
That told me how many dogs she put down.
Yeah.
At that facility.
Well, let me then let me follow up with Michael O'Driscoll and find out, what the facts are, and we'll report back in public, because this is said in public, what the county policy is, and so I just wanted to make sure.
Hey, Fernando?
thank you for your presentation, and I know that you guys work really hard. My neighbor is one of you, and she works tremendously hard for the Humane Society. Now, my question is this, I know that you need the building, and does it have to be that building? Could it be another building somewhere else? Because I know that one of the things we're really struggling with is property for the
Right,
cemetery.
I understand that. And we'll look and listen to anything. We're not unreasonable. We just don't want to be taken advantage of. Because the intention of that land, of that lease and that building was for a 99-year service for the Humane Society.
And in your view, you fulfilled that obligation, I understand. You kept it for that purpose.
It
yeah.
has been used for nothing but animal care.
But if we could find something else that would work, that would,
We'd look at it, we'd consider it, sure. It would have to go before the board. It would not be my decision. But we just want to exist and help and save animals and continue on with what we're doing.
thank you.
Anna
Okay.
mentioned to me that I should bring to your attention, in case you've forgotten, that the reason the county has tried to become no-kill, they can't truly become no-kill, can they? They get vicious dogs they have to euthanize, right? You have, and you get too many, and what do? But at one time, every Friday, they cleaned out the facility and euthanized. We started having meetings with various people in the county and in the Humane Society about how can we stop this? How can we have not so many animals going to the dump? And they listened, we talked, we worked things out, and it helped. They really made an effort not to kill so many animals. And we appreciate that. We definitely appreciate that. There's been great improvement there. And we feel like we helped with that as well. So, any other questions?
Mike, you had a question?
Daryl, thank you. I don't have a question, I just have a comment. First of all, I want to thank you and your entire staff for everything that you guys do for the city, and not just the city of Globe, but the surrounding areas. And I understand the importance of everything that you guys do. Excuse me. I've known you for years, and I'm sure that between yourself, and it sounds like you'd be willing to do something. So I think we all, not just us, but the city, we could all work together and come up with some conclusion that everybody agrees on. I think that's what we need to do.
That's what
we need to follow
we
up.
all want.
That's what I think we ought to do. And Fernando's right. The cemetery is running out of room. So we need to figure something out that works for you and your staff and for the city. So I'm sure that we can all work together.
I think we can.
Get something accomplished here.
I think we can.
And a couple more questions, Mayor.
Go ahead, Jesse.
As the building sits now, based off of the 99-year lease that you have, you have insurance now, or is it just sitting in limbo for that building?
We're not allowed, according to Mr. Jepson, to enter the building. It just takes a phone call for me to get it covered with insurance. We have an umbrella that covers anything we have or do. So it's not a problem getting it insured. We'll do that. And I don't know what else to say about it.
They're not allowed to enter the building because of what reason?
Because they don't have legal ownership of the building. It's a city facility. We have full ownership of the property. The building runs with the property. It is a city facility unless we can determine the status of the lease. Since we believe that the lease has been broken and is not eligible right now, we are not going to allow them to enter. We're going to leave it. And what we did talk about was putting together an agreement, whereas this time that it's empty doesn't count towards. There's a time that in the lease that if it's not used, the lease falls away. We'll make sure that this time doesn't count towards that. So our position is we not allow anyone to enter it until we resolve the ownership based on the work of the two attorneys.
Okay, I guess I just don't agree with strong arming a nonprofit.
I would
That helps.
I would not determine it as strong arming. I would
To me,
determine.
it sounds like a strong arm.
I believe we're trying to follow the meaning of the law. It would be wrong to let them into a building that's owned by the city. If we have full ownership, the insurance, it is not something that we can do. We would not let them just come into City Hall if they believe they had a right
That's
to come in.
far-fetched.
Well, no, but what's
This
the?
is a building that has been here for a long time, prior to you, prior to me, that has been used for animals, for dogs, for what its intended purpose is. And I just
52 years.
And I just don't understand now what we're doing, why it's come to this, versus let them use it, let them put the insurance on it, figure out what's going on, and then come back to us. And we'll talk.
The intent of the city is to, once we clarify the ownership, if it remains in the city's ownership, which we believe is the outcome of the discussion, then we need to expand the cemetery. We're very low on plots, and we will.
So as to say that we need that.
No, but we've been waiting. We've been talking about this for 5 years. I can't say that we need it tomorrow, but I don't. It is up to council. If council would like to defer on expanding the cemetery and reestablish their right to do that, right now you could go ahead and enter into a new agreement and give them back that building if you wanted to.
Mr. Mayor?
Mike, go ahead.
Cheryl or Anna, explain to me why you guys started out in the building, then the county took over the operation of the building, and you guys weren't involved with any of that, I don't believe. And now, because the county has moved out, you want to move back into that building, which is in pretty bad shape. I can tell you that from, I've been in it several times. So.
Which has improved what?
Which is in need of a lot of improvement if it even went back to you. But what I'm saying is, why did you guys let your lease go and have the county take over it for several years?
We didn't let the lease go. It was a sublease, and it was because the county at that time, the Humane Society at that time did not have enough volunteers to keep it running, and they didn't have the funds to pay people.
So doesn't that break the lease?
No.
Only the lease, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilman Pastor, if it was done properly, it can only be subleased if there is written consent by both parties, and that's what we're looking for right now.
Okay, so
Is it
there's
legal?
no evidence of a written consent.
No, we don't know that. We're asking the question tonight, and they're gonna go and they have a
Research
lot of
it.
paperwork.
If I could, Mr. Mayor.
Wait a minute.
Councilman
Wait a minute.
Pastor.
Let her finish.
52 years ago, the Humane Society leased, according to the terms of the original lease, 1976, I believe it was. I've got it here, 73. I'm sorry, 73. We leased that property to the Humane Society, to the county as a shelter. That is what the lease requires, that property for 99 years be used as a dog rescue and shelter. So back 52 years ago, we sublet. The lease provides that we can sublet with the agreement of all the parties. And so the parties were the city, the county, and the Humane Society. Now, Mr. Jepson's position is that unless we can produce some document showing that all the parties agreed to that sublease, that the Humane Society has broken the lease and has no right to be on that property. Our position is that such a document does exist. Mr. Jepson has made some attempt here within the city to locate that document and was not successful. We have not yet made an attempt to locate that document. However, there is a legal concept known as collateral estoppel, where you are stopped from making an argument in your favor when for a period of time you acted opposite to that argument you're trying to make now. And in this case, what we're saying is the city acquiesced to that sublease all these years and never raised an objection to it. So now you should, if we had to go for litigation, that would be one argument that we would raise, that you are stopped from raising that argument. You can't raise that argument. Now, that's one of the things we agreed with Mr. Jepson we wouldn't discuss here tonight, but he's brought up this. And that's something for the attorneys to discuss and all of us to discuss later on. Our major object here tonight was to have Cheryl present to you some of the things that we do as Humane Society. Because frankly, I think that some people don't really understand the extent of what we do. You know, Cheryl, for instance, pointed out we provide clothing. We provide clothing for the domestic violence shelter. Is something she neglected to mention, but we are very, very much a part of this community, and this community has supported us tremendously. I mean, we operate on donations and grants, and we are grateful for that.
So basically,
but we have grown, and we have needs.
So basically, what we're looking at is a legal interpretation of who's got the lease and who doesn't.
Right, and we attempted to enter and begin operating out of that building, and Mr. Jepson did not want that, and we agreed that we would not temporarily until we can get this resolved. And we'd like to get it resolved as quickly as possible. Both parties have needs.
Yeah, and I think as we discuss that, I think the presentation was for their services, what they offer. If we talk about any legal components of the lease, I think we need to have our attorney online specifically.
He was not available.
Okay, because if we're going to talk any legal, it has to be legal illegal. You know, that's something else to understand. We shouldn't be discussing anything about the components of that lease, I think.
So I would suggest, since Cheryl's presented, the operational functions of the Humane Society, and most of us know what those functions are, if we're waiting for some kind of legal deal, I think we should instruct the city manager to make sure that through our attorney, they sit with the Humane Society and get this matter resolved, and let's move on. And one other question I would ask is, how much do you want for your building? If it is your building.
Well, that's something that I think is going to be part of the negotiations.
Okay.
At the conclusion of last year, I mean, the county left in the middle of the year, but we were getting $9,000 per year from the county. So if you just didn't include inflation, et cetera, multiply 9 times 48 years, and you come up to close to $500,000. And I think we as a organization we understand that you're not going to give us $500,000. But this is something, if you're interested in buying us out, we'll negotiate.
Okay, good.
But we can't do that tonight.
No, and that's not what it's. Mariano, you got a question?
Yeah, I have used their services when I moved into the mobile home park where I live. There were difficulties from the county in trying to service the need that I had requested, which was to remove some feral cats. Having said that, there is a busy season and suddenly a lot of kittens do appear. I took it on, and with their help, to spay the original population of that feral cat population where I lived. I took the training down in Apache Junction. There were other people involved, and it's a worthy program, and I benefited from that. And it's about time to visit you again, too, by the way. But the point I'm trying to make is it's a worthy organization. It does a valuable service to the community. We need, therefore, to find a way to get to a good conclusion with this organization And now we have to take direction from their attorney and our attorney as to the validity of the agreement. I'm not against negotiating this. I am saying we need some definition from our attorneys. We need to take their direction. Both sides need to take that direction. And I think that's a worthy thing to go to. And let's move on and see if we can get to a conclusion, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Mariano? Fernando?
I just have a point, and my point is this, and I think I'm kind of leaning more towards Jesse's point of view. I think you provide a great service. I don't think the intent is to make you homeless and not have a place for you to do this. But this council can decide that the mission that they're providing is of value. We could make some comment, regardless of who legally has the upper hand on the lease. We could provide a space for them temporarily until we can come up with some other accommodation and then clear that land and make it available for plots. And I don't think that would take an attorney. That would just take the will of the council. And so I would lean towards accommodating, getting you up there, letting you use the building until we can get something else figured out and then get you to a better spot. That's because I don't feel like you guys are hurting us. And I don't think you're trying to hurt anybody. I just think you're trying to provide a service for the residents. And I feel like we should help each other as much as we can.
I agree.
Mr. Mayor.
I have a few comments also. Thank you, Cheryl, for your presentation. I agree we need to work together to try and resolve this, whether it's in that building or somewhere else. I guess to Fernando's point, my question is the age of the building and how really occupiable it is. You know, I haven't been in that building. I don't know if it's still in good shape to even put, you know, they've been using it, but in what kind of shape? I think that needs to be part of the evaluation. I understand that downtown, a lot of the complaints I get is the noise of the dogs, from people, from business people and residents, the barking dogs. So obviously we need to find a new place for your facility, away from neighborhoods, away from distractions, because that's part of it. Parking is another one. We'll get the answer on the no kill, if they are. But I think the legal part of it needs to be resolved with the attorneys. You know, that's their issues. This shouldn't even be part of this today. But the thing is, how do we work together? Because the cemetery also provides us with a very vital service to our residents, and we are running out of room. This has been going on for beyond 5 years. I remember this when I was even with the fire department. They were looking for land. We were looking for land to buy and purchase for that service, because we have an amazing cemetery, and we need to continue to provide that service. So I think if we can work together, I think this council is willing to come up with some kind of resolution, work together. Maybe there's another piece of land somewhere, or work together in partnership with the county. I don't know, but we need to explore all our options before I can make a decision on this. And I'm only one, so.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, just a quick little background, and go ahead and stay there for a second. But so when the quick claims came through, we met with the ladies from the Humane Society, and talked about both the status of this and partnerships and the service that they provide to the city, so we don't have to. And the fact that an alternative location for consolidating all their efforts and getting it into one place was something that the city and city staff is supportive. We're realistic in realizing that these services need to continue, but we also need to recover the land for the shortage of plots we have right now, because we are hitting a wall there. Independent of whether when we hash out the legal terms on it, the hashing out of the legal terms determines in what method we go forward. And now that doesn't mean whether if they have a right to it, then it's a buyout. If they don't have a right to it, then it's just a donation to get them, or a contribution to get them into a spot. It doesn't. The outcome of this doesn't hinder council from doing what they feel is the best thing for the city, for the organization, and to get this moving forward. And so determining the legal status just helps us figure out from which foot we're going to lead with when we finally do figure something out. But when we first met, we talked at that point about how the city could find an alternative location and meet those needs. And I know you have the short-term need for 6 to 12 dogs for staging for those dogs that are exuberant and they're wanting to speak and all that. And so that is something we have been discussing already. But we will work out the legal aspects. James Menlove, county manager, has been communicating about some of the situations. But I did want to clean up the last piece of the puzzle, and we did get communication from someone with the county on staff. Let me pull it up, make sure I get this right. That when we say no kill, we mean no kill. That if we can't place a dog, that the county does, that they can't place a dog, they don't have a week, and that if they can't place them, they euthanize. But they do say that if there's medical or aggressive, then there is they do have to euthanize, but their live release rate is between 80 and 90%, and that's pretty much where they want to be. So there are those dogs that are dangerous. I believe that I'm not going to, like I say, I don't know my facts, but I believe I don't know the definition for aggressive dog, but we can look at that. If it's medical necessary, we can look at that. But for those reasons, they will. But if it's just, and I think the horrendous thing is when you just can't place a dog. So, we take them out back. So that is hopefully an update for the county, from the county, and on where they are in the no-kill status. And I think that kind of is what you said about aggressive dogs is where they're at with the euthanization on that. When you had clarified.
They don't weekly just euthanize to empty the shelter anymore, but when it's forced on them, they have the means to do it.
Yeah. So I think that's a definitional problem. So moving forward from here, what I believe we will do is continue the conversation with straightening out the lease, and then continue to look for sites, and then get some additional information on our need at the cemetery, and we can bring this back at a future date. Mr. Mayor, members of council, any other comments?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Trying to figure out what we all need to do to work together.
I still stand with letting them use the facility while you hash that out. If it's going to get the barking dogs from downtown, and the business owners are going to be happy, the visitors that we get aren't hearing the barking dogs downtown. And that's what they're saying. If they're loud and observant, they're going to take them up there and house them there. I mean, it's not hurting anybody to use that facility, to let them put the insurance on it. And then while you guys are hashing this out, and if it does turn out that it is in fact, for whatever reason, I still don't understand that, but that's legal, let the attorneys talk. But meanwhile, it's being used. It's not being vacant. Vagrants aren't going up there. Somebody's not going in there and trashing it. Somebody's in that facility.
I would hesitate to tonight at this point, without speaking to attorneys and looking at the ramifications of letting them to a building that they may not have right to be in. If we were to do an IGA or an MOU with them to use it, that might be something we could bring back if you'd like to do that.
I would like to see some of the legalities of the components. I think it's not a rush right now that they need the building right now. They've been utilizing the building downtown for years now. I don't see why all of a sudden we need to move them into a new facility. I would like to wait to get more information before I would agree.
And maybe possible partnerships with the county.
This was presented as partnership with the city council.
Right.
So what partnership? I'm still not understanding what partnership. And are you suggesting that the city council enter with the Humane Society as is presented on our agenda?
Councilman Leatham, that was something brought up by Councilman Pastor. So I believe that we need to find a place, a home, and a situation. So I think all cards are on the table for an answer to the conundrum that we need to find Like I say, I also agree that getting them out of the downtown is a high priority. Making sure that they have a place as a location is a high priority. We just have that conflict with that building at that location because of where it situates in the middle of a cemetery that is.
At the end of the cemetery, would give you how many plots?
And I would not be able to speak to that right now.
That's your whole agenda, is that you want to make more plots. I would think that you would know how many plots that's going to give you.
But this was agendized as the future of.
Okay, but I'm asking.
Yeah, I believe about 140, but
In that little area, 140 plots?
they're tiny.
Plots.
For 3 foot. John, how big is a cemetery plot? Yeah. Do you know how many plots they would? Do you aware?
You could get me that.
No, I'll get the council. Yes, I'll get
And,
everybody.
and I think we're getting out of the heading of what this is. This is a presentation from Cheryl that should have been presented. I mean, I think if we want to move forward with action or taking it forward in a future council or agenda item, that's what, then this council can agree on that. But I think we're getting out of the scope of the title of the agenda right now. And that was just a presentation.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, but they were anxious to get before council, and I'm glad you had a chance to appear and say your piece. And this is important that you came here tonight.
Can I say one more thing? We don't want to move out of downtown. Our success is because we're visible. And no, we don't like the noise either. When Richard and I lived there, we were able to keep the noise down. Richard would go lay down in a pen in the night with a dog if it would keep it quiet. Maybe it was because my snoring was worse than the dog, but anyway, we were able to keep it under control. No one lives there now. And so it's just these big dogs that have been penned up too long because we haven't been able to find homes for them because they're big and they're loud. So those are the ones we'd like to get out of that block. But we don't want to move out of downtown. Please don't make us do that, which has been a fear of ours. A previous city manager told us we could stay only as long as there were not complaints. And I don't know how many complaints you're getting. No one tells me anyway. But we really need to stay downtown. And we own 4 buildings downtown. And we paid for those buildings. And we maintain those buildings. And we want to stay down there. We're an asset to downtown. We really are. And I think I've always felt like people who come to visit and see the Humane Society downtown get a good feeling in their heart of what kind of town this is. Oh, look, there's their Humane Society. There's the cat rescue. They can go look at them. There's the dog rescue and the thrift store. I think it gives people, I know it does because they tell me how happy they are to see that. It's a good thing. If you want to buy us the old Tri-City Furniture, that's the place I've always wanted. All those beautiful metal buildings. But one thing I'd like to mention, since we were talking a little bit about euthanizing, and I think this is a shame on our community, that if Mario had, I know he's an animal lover, if one of his animals got seriously hurt and he was not a client of Dr. Eubank, which Dr. Eubank has a right to select who he wants, he can't get that animal euthanized in this town. No matter how bad it's suffering, no matter how bad it's torn up or hurt for whatever reason. I get these calls all the time, and you can't imagine how it hurts me to have to tell people, can you kill that animal yourself? Do you have a 22? According to the Humane Society of America, the biggest one, whatever it's called,
Yes.
it is humane to use a 22 in the head for an animal. That is considered humane euthanizing. How many people can do that to their own animal? The responses I get are heartbreaking. Some just start crying. Some get angry at me for how could I even suggest such a thing. So sometimes we get that animal, we drive to Thatcher, and we have it euthanized. We shouldn't have to do that. This town should be able to euthanize hurt and sick animals. Does anyone agree with me? You're all nodding a little bit. I think it's a shame to our community, but that's the way it is. The other rescues tell me, well, you have a rabies control there. Yeah, we do. Well, they can do it. No, they won't do it. They refuse to do it, and that's Mr. Driscoll's decision. So I don't know that you can do anything about it, but that's one of our big heartbreaks and frustrations. Right. So that's one of a few of them. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time.
Cheryl, thank you very much. All this is important information as we move forward to make a decision. Thank you very much. We had item 3C, staff will present council with a project and timeline update for the community center pool rehabilitation project. Linda.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We do have an exciting update on our community center pool project. May I have the, thank you. And you should have the PowerPoint printed in front of you. So to highlight some of our dates, we met, I believe it was last week, with the entire pool team, which included the engineers, the splash pad designer, the gutter system engineer, and the actual pool company owner came out to do another site visit and discuss final design. So this is a little update. I still included it in here so that in case any community members are curious as to how we got here. 2014, our pool closed due to major leakage. In 2018, we identified water recreation through a city-led facilitation as a key piece in our recreation development. 2018 and 19, we worked with the community over 6 months. We developed the Cobra Valley Action Plan, which is a 3-year action plan, created a focus on increasing access to affordable and more diverse recreation for our community. In 2019, we saw the Pinal Creek Trail plan refresh, which now included coming into the downtown corridor from the new trailhead at the community center at Beshbagawa and the pool. Recreation was prioritized by council in the strategic action plan, and we partnered with Freeport-McMoran on the structural study of the pool. In 20, the study was completed. We were set to move forward and move forward with seeking partnerships for the project, and then COVID hit. So it took a really hard pause. We picked it back up and we brought it to council, and that was approved in this past fiscal year budget. And so we have been working nonstop into seeking partnerships for the implementation of the project. So these are the new tie lines. October 29th, we kicked off the project with our team, and that included the pre-construction meeting. Our city staff met with Charles Johnson, our structural navigator. He's our project manager and our main contact. And so pre-construction will go until January 4th. January 4th, or actually, excuse me, January 3rd, manufacturing begins, because by then, all through pre-construction, which is really design of all the features. January 3rd through the 15th, the manufacturing of all these different pieces, the heater, the splash pad components, the membrane system, starting blocks, everything that in the swim team package. And then this is kind of concurrently, January 5th through the February 4th, demo days. So that's going to be really exciting when we see that happen. Between January 24th and 13th, the installation and repair, including the install of the membrane, will happen. This is anticipated for April 1st through the 21st. install the splash pad components April 1st through 7th. We're going to fill the pool with water May 3rd through 4th. The next week, well, May 12th, will be the pool test all the chemicals and final inspection. And then the punch list the next day, and that includes handing over the keys to the city. Yes.
Like,
Thank you.
The January 5th through February 4th demo, that will be done by Structural or?
Well, it will be done by contractors that they hire.
They hire?
Yes.
Okay.
Which they do anticipate hiring local temporary workers for that.
But
part of it.
they'll be the leaders on the, as far as project manager.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Of course, city staff will work side by side with them. Jerry and John definitely will be there each day that they are. I anticipate that. Sure, you've given the thumbs up. Okay, I don't want to speak for John, but so Charles is our project manager from Structural, and we met with him. We went over this timeline, and we'll share. It's still in flux, and so what I have, it's very complex. I'm very impressed. So if something changes, for instance, if a component, there's a pause in materials or they're not able to pull a crew off another project to come and start when they anticipated, things will shift, but there's wiggle room built into this. So May 13th is always our goal May 13th to hand over the keys. Also where we are now. So base pool rehab costs, 1.28597. We'll go over our committed funding just one more time. Our ARPA funds that were committed by council action, 500,000. Our admin contingency of 30,000. ARPA funds contingency of 180,000. We were very fortunate with the support from our community partners. Can't thank them enough, and so we'll thank them again. Freeport Community Investment Fund for 250,000. The United Fund of Glow Miami for 200,000. Arizona Complete Health at 50,000. And Capstone Pinna Valley at 100,000. And this past Friday, we received an additional 150,000 from BHP for the pool project, and that's on top of their 100,000 towards the splash pad component, for a total of 250.
Oh. Very good.
Very, very generous. Here's our budget as far as our amenities: zero entry and splash pad at 518,959. Our alternate two amenities, the swim team package, as we call it, the bulkhead, anchors, and all of the ancillary pieces that go with that, flywheels, flags, lane dividers, and of course the heater, because we're so excited to be able to offer a longer swim season than we've ever had. It's going to be amazing. Again, the additional funding, we had this broken out because this was specific to the splash pad, and that's why it's separated from the base scope budget. And okay, alternate three, the bulkhead and the swim team accessories again, 366,103. And then we do have budgeted the rehab of the pool facility that we're taking a look at for a future phase. So our project gap at the moment is, well, excuse me for not updating that final figure, but it's 476,509 minus the 150 from BHP, and we are set to be on the next business meeting for the county with a funding request. We presented last month, was well received, had great questions from the supervisors, and so we've been asked to come back and request funding. So again, thank you for the support of this project, and to all of our staff that's spending a lot of time on it. It's so worth it, and to our many partners to make it all happen.
Thank you, Linda, for running with this and the staff.
Thank you.
Very good.
Can't wait till next.
This is
We're
an
gonna
awesome
cannonball.
win. This is an awesome win for the community.
That's huge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments for Linda?
None. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Item 3D, staff will present with a presentation regarding the formal procurement bidding process and possible contract with Sunny Path Associates LLC to assist with procurement services. And we have Jeannie.
Mr. Mayor, as we pull up Jeannie in here, we had talked about this at the Financial Sustainability Work Group, and the importance of we have so much capital money, large sums for larger projects, more so than we ever had before, and it's the way that we're moving. And so we've been looking at a way to supplement the procurement portion of what the city needs to do to make sure that the people's money is spent and the donation money is spent properly. And so this is a proposal from staff, and I'll turn it over to Jeannie. Hey, Jeannie.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item that Paul and I are bringing to you tonight is to identify what the city's formal bidding process is and to discuss the unique position we find ourselves in with the recent grant opportunities. Last Wednesday, the finance department put on our Citizens Academy class, and I teamed up with Jerry Barnes, our civil engineer. I did the finance side, he did the procurement side. Do we have the slide up, the PowerPoint?
It's coming, I think.
Okay.
Hang on a second. There it is. And
okay.
Yep. Jeannie, they can see the slide, or they can see the intro slide.
And so slides 2 and 3, I took those from our presentation from Wednesday night just to identify all of the different articles, sections in Article 3.5, purchasing of our city code. Slide 3 identifies the last time this was updated was December 2019. Slide 4, I outlined some of the CIP projects that are included in the current year's budget. And you see preliminary engineering report for the Northeast Sewer System, preliminary architectural report for new fire station, on-call surveyors, plumbers, general contractors, citywide sewer study. These are just some of the CIP items that I threw on this slide so you could get some idea. And then you also have been given, I believe, a printout of an Excel worksheet that lists individual projects and dollar amounts on that. So you can get some idea of what's on board, what's everybody's hopes and dreams are to get accomplished this year. Then we come to the reality of things. So slide 5 identifies the length of time from beginning to end to create bid documents, get them out for bid, and to award them. It's generally going to take about 8 to 10 weeks because all of these steps have to be taken. It takes 1 to 2 weeks to gather the project specifications from the requesting departments, create the bid documents, notify council of intent to advertise, and that depends on when all of this falls into a council meeting date. It takes 1 to 2 weeks for contract review and legal approval. Then we have to advertise in local paper for 2 consecutive weeks. If the department determines a pre-bid meeting is necessary, you can add another week onto this timeline. The pre-bid meeting would be scheduled for the week after the second newspaper ad is in the paper. After the pre-bid meeting, then you allow a week for the people who attended it to submit questions, written questions that they may have had and that were discussed during the pre-bid. Then you add another week to give the city staff the time to get the questions in, address them, write an addendum, and issue it to all of the bidders. Bid opening dates usually scheduled for a week after all addendum have been issued. And then we add a week to vet bids received and evaluate for the lowest, most qualified and responsive bids to make recommendation to council on contract award. And this process is detailed. We review all of their licenses and their corporation commission standing, and then of course check for responsiveness to our bid documents. Then council considers staff recommendations for bid award and possible approval, and that can take 1 to 2 weeks depending on when the next council meeting is available after the bids have been vetted. So estimated time for a typical project that has to go out for bid is 8 to 10 weeks. Slide 6 identifies the need for assistance in creating these bid documents and issuing them. And I gave you the Excel spreadsheet that shows the projects, so you can see how many there are. And for the last 5 years, finance has been creating the bid documents and taking them through all of the steps to get the contract award. During budget and audit, there's a backlog because we just can't get to it. But as we said, considering our unique opportunities this year, we would like to hire someone for this position until we can get someone, an employee, to do this. So we came across this option of Sunny Path Consulting. And Paula and I met with her. The next slide shows her qualifications. This is, it's a pretty good deal because she already has the knowledge. She worked in the state procurement office for years and years and knows the statutes, the laws, the regulations. There's so much involved in procurement to make sure that we protect the city and the taxpayers' money. So we are proposing a professional service contract with Sunny Path Consulting not to exceed $50,000 for fiscal year 21-22 and bring this back for a second read at the December 7th. Well, is it a second read, Paul?
Yes.
Okay, bring it back for the second read at the December 7th meeting.
The action, yes.
The average cost estimate per project is roughly $5,125. And that's just number that Paul and I came up with to try to quantify this. It will depend on how much prepared documents I can provide them, which I have all of the templates. The plan is for them to take my templates, put all of the procurement stuff in them, review them. I believe they'll review them with legal, and that'll take all this stuff off of my plate. Then all I'll have to do is attend the bid opening. They will bill hourly based on the complexity of the project and the time it's going to take them to do it. And we are anticipating doing about 13 to 16 projects over the next 8 months. And I would not have the time to get all of those out by myself. And this solution is a stopgap measure until we hire additional qualified staff. Any questions?
And Mr. Mayor, members of the council, like I say, Jeannie and Missy is the primary for Sunny Path. We met, talked, they bonded immediately over all the geeky procurement rules and requirements, and you know, that world is a separate world that they both feel very comfortable in. And that's the beauty of this is we have someone that we equally qualified as Jeannie to come in and just help manage some of this. But it is a stopgap measure. I did not get them out this week, but we're fine tuning. We had posted for a contract manager. We're modifying that post and we'll be reposting after Thanksgiving for a position for the long term to fill this. We'd love to have an in-house person right now. But to get us through this budget cycle and to get the projects moving, this is what we will come back and request a possible contract. Mr. Mayor, members of council, any questions?
Do you have any questions or comments? Mike?
So, this is stopgap, this is temporary. And in the meantime, you're going to be trying to hire somebody full-time?
Yes.
And if we do hire somebody full-time within this 8-month period, does this lady still stay on contract?
If we were to do the contract, it's only as we assign positions or jobs.
Oh, okay.
And so we could back out, we could do 1, we could do 13. It's not a
We're not
guaranteed
locked in.
contract, it's
Okay.
an hourly contract
Okay.
for the work they actually do.
In our meeting, what I had asked Paul and Jeannie was that if we, the same question you asked, but if we hired somebody, if she would then train that somebody and help train what procurement is, how to do their job and get them up where they are, to which Paul had said, and forgive me if I butcher this, but he has offered to come up and train our entire staff on what it is, what it means, how it is.
And vendors and the local business people or to put on anybody here so we can get local people participating in these. We have local contractors who, as Councilman Shipley will point out, are sometimes frustrated with the rules and the requirements. But that's something that we would, she could even help do to make sure we do get more people knowing about it. Procurement is
Effectively working herself out of job. So.
Good.
Yeah. And she currently does, I believe, work for the school district and San Carlos, along with a lot of Coconino County, I think Flagstaff.
Globe School District?
Yes.
Any other questions or comment?
So this is a presentation, and I'm hoping that is council supportive of me bringing this back on December 7th for a contract in this. Okay. So I see the heads nodding, and so we will bring this back for action, and that'll get her on board and ready to go. And she's actually going to stop up before that, I think November 2nd or December 2nd to check things out again. So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you very much.
Paul, I have a couple of questions or comments on a lot of these. Some of these projects, some of these are funded from our general fund, but some are funded with grants or others. Can we add on in administrative fees for procurement when we're awarded a grant on some of these projects?
On the specific grants, it'd be a case by case basis. On CIP projects, especially enterprise projects, it's built into it's a built-in cost that the procurement has to do. And I'm trying to think, general fund, it would come out of the budgeted funds. We're going to move the money, though. We're going to so we don't have to sort this out. We're going to ask council to allocate $50,000 out of the general fund, and then I don't know that we would use that. We can backbill enterprise or the grant fund. We haven't sorted through that, but I want to earmark 50,000, worst case scenario, that we have to pay totally out of pocket for all of this. But I will say, this is the other part. We have set aside, if it's an ARPA related project, we have ARPA funds that we've set aside to put towards this. If we have enterprise projects, we have enterprise money we put together. So probably it'd be easier to have Jeannie explain this next 2 weeks. But we have been planning for funding some help in finance, whether it be a full-time position or this position. And I would love that, 2 weeks into this 1st of January, we have a competent and ready to go procurement expert that we can bring on board. That would be the best solution, but we can't. What's that?
Or current employee.
Yes, if there's a qualified current employee.
One more question, Paul. These projects that we're seeing are not the normal number that we usually have seen in the past because of increased activity. Is that why we're seeing so many projects that have?
We have ARPA funds with ARPA projects. We have a lot of the donations for the playground equipment, and then Jerry and John, Public Works and Engineering, have ramped up a lot of the WIFA program and projects there. We have the 2 USDA grant projects are big. And we have a significant amount of projects, but it's getting overwhelming, and it's more than we've ever seen before because of all the different sources. It's reflected in the large budget with the 20 million in possible grant money that we're seeing. And now just a quick statement, we are not fully staffed in public works, and we're not going to do the procurement unless we have the ability to hand that off and make sure that project goes through. Just because you procure a project, there has to be someone at the city to oversee it, to inspect it, to make sure it happens. It's just not turning them over. So we have to make sure that we don't, crank out all these procurements, and then, Public Works and the city is struggling to keep the projects moving. So we'll work through that. But we know right now this is the log jam.
And I think we can't forget that, because I think as we continue to move on these different projects, we got to be conscientious about Public Works and John's crew to make sure that they have to be fully staffed in order to maintain and sustain these projects that we're doing, because it's increasing quite a bit now, which is good. But we need to make sure that we have the manpower to sustain them.
Anybody wants to come and join our team, open arms right now. We're always open arms, but we're looking for people.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Great insurance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to consent calendar, and matters listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. Public hearing items are designated with an asterisk. Prior to consideration of the consent agenda, the mayor will ask whether any member of the public wishes to remove a public hearing item for separate consideration. Members of the council and/or staff may remove any item for separate consideration. Item A, consideration of waiver of section 2-4-10 prior discussion rule to allow action on the balance of the consent agenda. Accounts payable, $225,293.72. Considerations of agreements and purchases less than $25,000. B1, Jalen Enterprises, agreement to furnish a part-time admin for clerical duties. C, consideration of the September building permit report. And D, consideration of the October building permit report. Does anybody from the public, the staff, or council want to remove any of these items for separate consideration?
Mayor, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda as read. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Go to new business. Item 5A, discussion and consideration to approve resolution number 1842, accepting the dedication of approximately 4,744 square feet of land on Tebb Street for the purpose of a right-of-way quick claim to the city of Globe from Carl Eider in 1924, and request to waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule. And we'll have Dana that's going to be explaining this one. Shelley, can you read resolution 1842, please?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Resolution number 1842, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Globe, county of Gila, state of Arizona, providing for acceptance of certain property for public right-of-way purposes and authorizing the mayor to execute documents to complete said acceptance. Is council pleased with that reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mayor Gomeros. Council members, can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. This is a unique circumstance that staff came across while reviewing the mini golf course app request by Lois Maneras there off Tebb Street. If you took a look at the site map, basically back in looks like 1924, a quit claim deed was I granted the property to the city. Anyway, upon reviewing the survey for the mini golf property, I noticed a discrepancy in parcel boundary dimensions. And then when talking with the county about it, they identified that the city had a parcel there that was never formally accepted through this resolution process. So they said, hey, if you do that, we'll go ahead and turn that into right away and everything's good. So we went ahead and corrected that to make sure or bring this before you tonight to make that correction to ensure that parcel doesn't end up on anybody else's recorded survey. And I apologize, when we discovered the discrepancy, it was on a recorded survey with the county. So this is simply backing up and correcting that recordation, and the individual that owned that property or had that record of survey recorded has since surveyed and re-recorded the easement without, or that tract of land, recorded their boundary survey without our tract of land. So with that, staff's recommending approval. Be happy to show you any other images or discuss further if you'd like.
Questions for Dana? I don't see them on the thing there. We didn't get a handout. Is there a reason it has to be waive the rules? It needs to be.
Dana, do you want to speak to the reason we're waiving the rules?
No, you can have a second discussion if you'd like. No one is in opposition of this request. Like I said, the property owner who had that issue has corrected it on their end as well. So
Mr. Mayor,
you can
members of council,
not waive the rule or waive it if you'd like.
Yeah, just because this is just a cleanup, no opposition, and just because Dana is an hourly contractual employee, we would ask to waive the rules.
I'd so move to waive the rule and take action and adopt this.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to adopt resolution number 1842 as read. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item B, public hearing and consideration to adopt ordinance 875, a request to rezone 1.32 acres of property located at 5824 South Miami Gardens, APN 206-07-007R, from the C2 Intermediate Commercial Zoning District to the Transitional Residential Zoning District, case number Z-21-02. Dana. And Shelley, could you read ordinance 875, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number 875, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Globe, county of Gila, state of Arizona, amending the zoning ordinance of the city by amending the city of Globe zoning map from the C2 Intermediate Commercial Zoning District to the Transitional Residential Zoning District for 1.32 acres of land located at 5824 South Miami Gardens Drive, describing as Gila County Assessor's parcel number 206-07-007R, located in the city of Globe, county of Gila, state of Arizona. Is council pleased with the reading?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mayor, council members. This is a rezoning of 1.32 acres, as Shelley just read. The property, it has a similar interesting story that I'll quickly jump to, but before I get to that, just want to run through the rezoning process for you, just to acclimate you to what's taken place and where we're going here with this request. So a request for rezoning can be made from a property owner, or the city can initiate the rezoning of private property as well. In this case, it would be the property owner, Mr. Neil Jensen. Once we receive that application, we review it for compliance to the general plan and other city adopted plans and policies to make sure that what's being asked for is in alignment with our general plan and the city's vision for the future and for that particular area. And that we're not creating any or deviating from the council's approved general plan and goals of the city. After we do that review, have some correspondence with the applicant, we're then required to notify the neighbors to let them know, all property owners within 300 feet of what's occurring, and then also hold a citizen review meeting, which was done at this property earlier in November, around the beginning of the month, actually. We did receive, and I will touch on that public input that we received or didn't receive at that meeting. Then, as you know, this evening, rezoning hearing requires a public notification, which was posted on the site as well as in the newspaper and mailed to all the neighbors within 300 feet. And public hearings were, the first public hearing was held with the Planning and Zoning Commission last Tuesday evening. And then tonight, after my presentation and any other discussion, you would open up a public hearing as well to allow members of the public to speak on behalf of in favor or opposing this request. And then finally, it's adopted by ordinance, which you have before you in your packet. So to get to the site, you can see this large red area on the map that basically covers Highway 60 and portion of the 188 there and Hospital Drive heading south down to the hospital. So apparently in the mid 90s at some point, the city annexed that land from the county. And as you can see, all of that land is commercial zoned right now in the city, and that would be city zoning. Anything you don't see with a color on it, for instance, this MHS, it's a manufactured home subdivision, that's a zoning, within the city as well. Anything that's just an aerial photo, as you see, Miami High School here, is county land. So the city had annexed this commercial land. Well, through that, to get down to the hospital is what it appears. So through that annexation process, there was one single family home captured, and that would be Mr. Jensen's home adjacent to the hospital, which is used as a single family home, and our records indicate that's always been the case. So anyway, that's the interesting history to that to the site and the situation. What was brought to the staff's attention when Mr. Jensen asked to make some improvements to a single family residence by adding additional guest quarter for his in-laws. And in looking at the code, we thought, well, it's C2, and our C2 zoning ordinance does not allow a single family home or land use. So he would be a legal non-conforming use as a single family home in a C2 zoning designation. So looking at the surrounding properties, Miami Gardens to the north, homes surrounding it really on the west and south side there. There's a vacant parcel and other home sites to the west. We realized, yeah, this obviously was part of a residential area at one time, and then that annexation and consequential rezone created that non-conforming nature of the property. So that's why it's before you this evening. Here's a blow up just to show you the adjacent zoning in the county. They have a R18D, it's a residential single family, 8,000 square foot lot minimums. This TR designation is county designation as well. That's a transitional zoning designation, just like the city has a transitional zoning designation. And then another R18 for Miami Gardens, and then obviously all the C2. So in looking at the site and its location and proximity to the commercial C2 zoning district, the residents, and then that larger TR zoning designation in the county that runs over to the high school, staff advised Mr. Jensen that a TR zoning designation would be best for this parcel. TR does allow some light commercial, but nothing like obviously the C2 intermediate commercial zoning district allows. One thing that we did discuss with Mr. Jensen and as well came up at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting was that should the council move forward with this ordinance or as you consider this ordinance, it is proposed to be zoned from C2 to TR, as I mentioned. If a business was ever proposed for this site, we would require it not be taking traffic through Miami Gardens, and they would designate their own entrance off of Hospital Drive here. And there's plenty of room. The grade is such that it would allow access and so forth. Now, that's not contemplated, but we're looking way down the road, what could potentially occur here, and just letting you know that's something that we would certainly want to protect those county residents from any increase of traffic or impacts such as that. But with that, having that TR would be consistent with the adjacent county TR, and we believe that would be the best designation for this property and allow him to do his expansion for his guest quarters. With that, there's just the site plan of Mr. Jensen's home and the addition he is intending to do. Those properties to the west do take access through his lot via a access easement. So finally, public outreach, as I mentioned, we had a meeting with 2 households that attended. I think we notified, there were probably 12 or 15 property owners notified. A total of 4 attended, representing 2 households, and they just had similar questions on, oh, why is it going, why wasn't C2? Just trying to understand that history that I just explained. And they don't express any opposition or have not expressed opposition. Our public hearing at Planning and Zoning Commission last week also did not receive any public input or obviously opposition. So with that, staff is recommending the council motion to recommend approval after your second read. That would be at your next meeting. And then after discussion, again, you would open up a public hearing this evening. Thank you very much, Mayor, council members. I'd be happy to respond to any questions you have.
Questions?
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, the applicant's on the Zoom also.
Dana, I have a question on if we change it, you're saying we're going to transitional residential, and you're saying they could
Correct.
still put a business under TR? What kind of business could be put there in the future?
It's office, light office uses, things that we would like to see, or that would be lower in traffic volume and not have the exterior activities that a commercial use would have. So for the most part, it's office use.
They would have to provide their own entrance there, because right now the only way to get in there is through Miami Gardens, right?
Correct. I mean, yeah, only paved access, yes. And then Mr. Jensen also owns this parcel that connects to Hospital Drive here, and he currently farms that for lavender. So he has control of all of that land.
Any other questions?
I do have I know that he was trying to expedite this because he's got a mother-in-law that he's trying to get something built for. Is there a reason, there no objections that were brought forward?
I'm sorry,
Was there any
Councilman.
objection? There was no one objecting to the rezoning?
Correct.
Okay.
And Dana, is this eligible for waiving the rule?
It is, but you're welcome to, obviously.
Okay, but we have to do a public hearing still?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, would that public hearing have to be held today, or if we,
Right now.
or in the next one? Okay.
It's advertised for this evening. It'll be held this evening after our discussion here, and you're ready to hear from the public.
Okay. Any questions, or? So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing for this parcel being considered for a rezone. Or any comments from public, staff, or council, or?
Let us check our email and phone. And I'm not seeing any new emails tonight. So nothing on email or phone.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to close the public hearing.
We have motion and a second for closing of the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Public hearing closed. We'll go back to item B.
Mayor, I would go ahead and motion to approve it and waive the rules so that we can take action tonight.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of ordinance 875 as read. Is there any further discussion? And we did waive the rules on that. Is that what you're after? Okay. Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
So on item C, we have to open another public hearing on that one, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so item C is public hearing and consideration to approve the type 12 liquor license for Rodney Lynn Courtney Jr., DBA Carries Copper Cantina, located at 999 North Broad Street, Globe, Arizona. Shelley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a new liquor license application for Rodney Lynn Courtney, doing business as Carrie's Copper Cantina at 999 North Broad Street. It's a type 12 restaurant liquor license. They're currently operating on an interim application, I think that has a time period on it. So this liquor license was posted for the required 20 days, and the clerk's office received no public comment opposing the liquor license.
So they had to apply for their own liquor license. They couldn't transfer from the old owner, from the current owner or previous? You have to get a new one? Wow. Wow.
Yeah, you have to pay the money and you have to do it yourself.
And wait the time too, because it takes a while to get that. Wow. Okay. Is there a reason, I know we got to open a public hearing, is there a reason that we move this forward or move on it tonight?
I would request council if it's approved to waive the rules just so that they can move forward with the liquor license. They're working on an interim right now.
Okay.
I think there's a time frame on that.
It was posted, it was,
Under that one, yes, yeah.
It's a temporary.
once it expires, then you can't.
So if there's no questions, any further questions, I'll open the public hearing. Okay, we have public hearing open for consideration of the type 12 liquor license for Copper Cantina. Any comments or concerns, questions from the public, the staff, or council?
Just look.
I did have to look up what 12 was, but it's
Food and liquor.
beer. Yeah, it's for someone who does 40% more in food sales, and then it can do spirits, wine, and beer.
What is
So you can get a
Drift? Is that
margarita
6?
if you want.
Yeah.
Drift is a 6.
Most of all of our bars in Globe have a Series 6. The restaurants have a Series 12, and that they have to open their books and show that they're selling more food than they are liquor, or they can be taxed by the state.
You said we had no comments from being posted. That's okay.
Mayor, I would move to close the public hearing.
Motion second to close public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Public hearing closed. We'll go back to item C. And what is the council's?
Motion to waive prior discussion rule and approve the type 12 liquor license for Carrie's Copper Cantina located at 999 North Broad Street.
Motion and second for approval of type 12 liquor license for Carrie's Copper Cantina. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you. So, go to action items. We have item 6A, consideration to approve contract number GS-2021-0032 with Sandoval Elevator Company in the amount not to exceed $29,905 for the electrical damage repairs necessary for the elevator at the Copper Valley Center for the Arts Building, with the funding source to be determined. John, or do we have any changes?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we had previously discussed this where we have the tight deadline for the 15th. They're working on ordering the parts. There's no change since the 2 weeks, and so to save John a walk up here.
And we still haven't determined, because this might go to insurance, is that why we haven't determined funding source on it?
Correct. We're still waiting for word from their investigation. They're kind of waiting for the installation or for the repair, because then they'll take it apart and they can better understand what the cause is. And so it's kind of a chicken or the egg on this. But once we get the parts in and start peeling this apart, I think we'll have basically an elevator autopsy.
Any other questions? Oh, John's coming up.
John's coming down. I triggered something.
Oh, he didn't approve of something you said.
All right. Need some good to move anyway. Mayor and Council, just a quick update. Speaking with Sandoval, they have ordered the parts, the 3 motherboards we had discussed previously. He's hoping to get them. He said he believed they would be here this week, but with the short week that they have, he would be doing follow-up on Monday. So he hopes to be keeping that calendar date we've already set. He's confident in that. But he did say he's scheduling in for next week.
Good. Yeah, that'd be important with the holidays coming up too. Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
Mayor, I'd like to motion to approve contract number GS 20210032 with Sandoval Elevator Company in the amount not to exceed $29,905 for repairs done to the elevator at the Cobra Valley Center of the Arts as presented.
Second.
Motion and second for approval, action item 6A as read by Councilman Shipley. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, John. Item 6B, consideration and possible approval of amendment number 2 to professional services contract number PS-2020-0013 with Hub Planning and Urban Design LLC to extend the term of the contract for 1 additional year and to increase the initial contract amount by an additional $38,000 for a new contract total of $50,000 to be funded from account number 10-66-51234 Economic and Community Development Contractual Services. Linda.
Good evening again. First, I'd like to thank Dana for being such an integral part of our development team. We've really been able to streamline our process, provide very high level customer service in a expedient manner. And these are some of the highlights that Dana provided for me, just because as time just flies and we're just so deep in the weeds, but it's good to review and see where we've been and where we're going. Here's some of the highlights of Dana's work since February and his ongoing work. He performs very specialized and technical responsibilities as the zoning administrator. He leads project coordination through our TAC team with various city departments that includes public works, engineering, of course, economic development, and fire. Continuing technical zoning support for a pending court case, and right now we're working on the rezonings of Reyes Ridge. Right now, the 86 lot subdivision is in plan review phase, and you just approved Mr. Jensen's project. Thank you so much. And something that's coming down the pipeline, possibly the next meeting, is the CalChem rezone. That is the industrial development at the east end of town. They are wanting to move forward with increasing their footprint. He's also created application packets for zoning processes and case file tracking system. We've really been able to up our documentation, and it's extremely important, and that way we can better serve our customers now and our future customers that are coming and looking, asking us for past documentation on properties, some work that may have been done 20, 30 years prior. He was definitely integral on the Copper Bean Coffee Shop site plan and approvals and the lot joining and the process that we had to go through with ADOT on the car stack. The mini golf facility project review and approvals, including the Tebbs Row right-of-way clarification that happened tonight, is ongoing zoning compliance cases, preparation of zoning verification letters and proposed uses such as the Nosker Hill change in use, cleaning up our non-conforming parceling throughout the city, and we have several of those going on right now. CUPs of the rec dispensary, multifamily and commercial zoning, and we have a CUP that is pending on the Cobra Valley Motors property for a U-Haul facility. Also assisting with real estate brokers with property research and potential buyers. This is really important as we move forward and seeking new owners of properties that have sat dormant for far too long. Lot splits and parcel boundary adjustments, up and coming projects. These are exciting to us. Expanding the historic preservation overlay district, cleaning up of zoning codes so that we can move forward with development in a much more streamlined way. Of course, the CalChem development, the mini golf approvals. We have a right-of-way abandonment that will be coming to council soon. Of course, the Hill Street School development. Very exciting updates there. Various ongoing pre-application reviews that he's involved in, and of course, code compliance. He and Michelle work very closely together on those items. Additional thoughts on how he benefits our city staff and the city of Globe. As a contractor, we're able to use him as we need, and we need him, and we use him a lot. We have constant contact. And he's very, very good about answering internal and external calls. Zoning application fees cover a portion of the cost to the city. And he has 25 years of professional experience. He brings a high level of service and confidence to the city, which I think we all can appreciate. And of course, working with staff to build effective review and approval processes. Again, we're really improving on that front by leaps and bounds, and so much of that is due to Dana and of course our other staff members on the development team. So again, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
For Linda
Or for Dana, I believe he's still on.
or Dana, questions?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I will tell you that the first 4 years that I was city manager, starting in March of 16, I think we had 3 total zoning P&Z meetings, and they were non-consequential. We're averaging a little bit better than one a month right now. Again, Dana's contract, a lot like these specialized high professional people that we need. We need to have these people available, and it's picking up, and it's really great that we have this relationship. I will say he is very responsive on emails. Just turns them right around. But the funnest thing is when Dana and Bill Sims get going on a phone call. And they start talking into the geeky land that even sometimes I get lost in, but they work very closely together. They have their opinions, they work through it, with the goal of maximizing the benefit to the city and protecting people's rights. So there's a lot of phone calls that we're on where Bill and Dana are putting their heads together. So we're very happy to have Dana continue as member of our consulting staff.
I would echo that too, Paul. I think, a lot of the meetings that I've sat in or viewed in on, his professionalism, his expertise, and especially in all the matters that we've had to deal with in the last couple of years, he's helped elevate our city to a professional, to help us in the zoning in a professional way. So I truly commend him and enjoy the work that he does.
Mr. Mayor, I would have to agree with you. I mean, when we first brought him, I'll be the first to admit that I was weary to have brought somebody like him on, and I sat on the dais and I expressed my concerns, but meeting with him and the level of expertise that he brings to the city, and I feel that has helped build this momentum that we have and how fast we're able to turn things around. And that was one of my oppositions, because I was afraid of how slow it might be, but to see how fast that, with our staff and him at the helm with that, it has expedited everything within the city.
Customer service.
Yes. So,
I would like to add that he's very pleasant and to work with because he's very respectful, and if you don't understand something, he takes the time to help you understand it. Doesn't judge you, so it's pretty nice.
If we just get him to buy a house up here.
And that is not just to us, but to the public and our committees. I mean, he's in helping out different committees, subcommittees. I think it's been amazing.
He's
Yeah.
a driver within our.
and the citizens that he's come in contact with, they've expressed how awesome it is to work with somebody and that actually listens. A contractor that the city has hired that actually listens and respects their wishes and tries to find a way to help them if he can. And so that's awesome. With that said, Mayor, I motion to approve contract number PS-2020-0013 with Hub Planning and Urban Design LLC to extend the term of the contract through February 24th, 2022, and to increase the initial contract amount to $50,000 as presented.
We got a motion and a second for approval of item 6B as read by Councilman Leatham. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you very much, Dana. Linda?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, council.
Late agenda items, do we have any?
We have none.
Any call to the public? Second call to the public? None?
Let me check real quick on the mail.
I'd like to point out that 3 of our Citizen Academy graduates are still in the room.
Dedication.
This is an early meeting.
Early one. Yes.
Haven't even pulled out the sleeping bags.
Yeah.
Cookie.
There you go. So, no, Mayor, no comments on the email.
Okay, scheduling the meetings?
I think we're good, other than we're going to the first and third
For
Tuesday
December.
in December, and that'll give us that break between Christmas and New Year's.
Okay. And continue to send us our reminders on our work groups. Yeah, so we, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, December, it's the first and, I'm not gonna try to remember it, but.
We appreciate that.
On the-
Reminders.
Thank you, Joe.
Future agenda items?
The only one I'd like to see is the Humane Society be brought back.
Okay. That.
Any other one?
Not at this time, but Mike, if you have a minute after this is over, one item I'd like to discuss with you for the future. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I'll get with you.
No other one? Do we have a motion to go into executive session? Motion and second to go into E-session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion passed.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, we have no action planned after we return from E-session. When we return from E-session, we will adjourn. So thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you very much, and
thanks for watching.
Congratulations, you guys. Thank you all.